Okay, welcome back, students. We're now moving on to section 1.3, properties of numbers. We're going to be learning about properties. Properties are basically the building blocks of mathematics. Like your house has a foundation, the properties are the foundation of mathematics. We use these rules to do the things that we do in math. We'll start out today with the reflexive property. What does the reflexive property say? It says for any number A equals A. A lot of these students say, duh, but you'll use that a lot more in geometry when you're doing proofs. But anyway, what it basically says is this. It says that 7 equals 7. Yep. Or it says 2 plus 5 equals 2 plus 5. Alright, seems pretty simple, but that's the reflexive property. The symmetric property, for any numbers A and B, if A equals B, then B equals A. What it says is you can swap either side of the equality symbol. Okay, so for example, if 9 equals 3 plus 6, then 3 plus 6 equals 9. Another pretty straightforward one. We kind of knew we could do that. Doesn't matter what part you put on the left side or what part you put on the right side. Transitive property. For any numbers A, B, and C, if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. That kind of makes sense. Basically, here's a good example. How about this? 5 plus 3 equals 8, and 8 equals 4 times 2. Then 5 plus 3 equals 4 times 2. Okay, so here's my A part. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. Transitive property. So the substitution property. If A equals B, then A can be replaced by B in any expression. So in other words, let's say n equals 10. And I have the expression for n, then I can replace n with the number 10, because that's what n is. So it would be equal 4 times 10. Simply replacing the variable with what it is equal to, with its value. Those are your equality properties. Moving on to the identity properties. The additive identity property, it basically says this. It says A plus 0 equals A. An example, we know that's true. 8 plus 0 equals 8. Okay? Works for negative numbers. Negative 7 plus 0 equals negative 7. As long as you add 0 to it, it's still the same thing. Additive inverse. Okay, additive inverse says this. If I have A, some number A, and I add its opposite, negative A, I get 0. Quick example. 3 plus negative 3 equals 0. Multiplicative identity. All that says is if I take a number, multiply it by 1, I get that number back. Okay? How about 9 times 1 equals 9? Multiplicative inverse. Another name for that you might have heard before is the reciprocal. If I take any number, say A over B, that may look like a fraction, but that could be the number 4. That'd be just 4 over 1. If I multiply it by its reciprocal, or its inverse, I get the value 1. Okay, let me show you a couple examples of that. First off, I said A over B could be the number 4. That's just simply 4 over 1. That's still 4, right? B would be 1 in that case. If I wanted to multiply it by something to get the number 1, I would multiply it by 1/4. its reciprocal. That equals 1. Okay, remember we can cross reduce, those are 1's, straight across, 1 over 1 equals 1. Okay. It also works for fractions. Okay, how about 5/3? What would I multiply that by to get the value 1? I would multiply it by 3/5. That equals 1. Okay, these all cross reduce to 1's. And the last one, multiplicative property of 0. Well, multiplicative property of 0 says this. I take a number, any number, A, I multiply it by 0, I get 0. Okay. And we know that works. Take the number 1,235,692 and multiply it by 0. What do I get? 0. Okay? And those are your identity properties. Remember, the multiplicative inverse is another name for the reciprocal of a number. And multiply a number by its reciprocal, the product is equal to 1. So now we're going to evaluate some mathematical expressions using the order of operations. But every time we do a step, and I want to mention this, every time we do a step, we have to rewrite everything. So we're going to do one step at a time. In other words, if I need to multiply two numbers together, that's one step, rewrite everything. You'll see as we go here. All right, we're going to evaluate this mathematical expression. 2 times 3 plus, parentheses, 4 times 2 minus 8. Okay? And you'll see in geometry that you'll be doing some proofs, and this is where you have to justify each statement that you make. This is what we're going to do here. This is an algebraic proof. Okay? So, what do I need to do first by order of operations? I look to my parentheses. I have multiplication and subtraction. I must do my multiplication first. So I need to rewrite everything. Do that 4 times 2. Okay? And what property says I can replace the number 8 with 4 times 2, or replace 4 times 2 with the number 8. That is simply substitution. I am substituting the number 8 in for the expression 4 times 2. Now the next step is tricky. Okay, we'll write that in there. This is tricky. 8 minus 8 is tricky. Because really, what were you taught? You were taught keep, change, opposite. Right? Now it's going to look more like a property that we've talked about. Okay? So the next step, inside the parentheses I have 8 plus a negative 8, that's what I need to do. 8 plus a negative 8 is 0. Okay? What says 8 plus a negative, 8 plus its opposite, in other words. 8 plus its opposite will equal 0. That is the additive inverse. Next step, by order of operations. I have parentheses but no operation in them, so for all practical purposes, I can get rid of those. I need to do the multiplication of 2 times 3 first. That is 6 plus 0. Okay, I'm replacing the expression 2 times 3 with the number 6. Once again, that's substitution. Okay, when in doubt, go substitution, just a little hint. Okay, 6 plus 0, we know that is 6. And that is the additive identity. And that's what we'll be doing. Let's try another one that may be a little more challenging. Okay, let's try this. 7 times 1/7 plus 6, parentheses, 15 divided by 3 minus 5. All right? Here we go. Inside the parentheses, that's where I'm going first. I have division and subtraction. I need to divide first. Okay, so I got to rewrite the whole thing. I know. I'm not going to assign a million of these. 15 divided by 3 is, in fact, 5. Okay. Okay, I'm replacing the mathematical expression, 15 divided by 3, with the number 5. Substitution. Next step, inside the parentheses, there's that tricky one again. It shows its face once in a while. Remember, keep, change, opposite, boom, boom. That's 5 plus a negative 5. That's what I need to do first. Okay? So, that's 7 times 1/7 plus 6 times 5 plus negative 5 is 0. Okay? That is the additive inverse. Okay. Next thing I have is multiplication, addition, and multiplication again. So, let's start left to right. 7 times 1/7 is 1 plus 6 times 0. Alright, 7 times 1/7 is 1. What property is that? Multiplicative inverse. I'm multiplying a number by its reciprocal to get 1. Next step, I need to do that multiplication of 6 times 0. So that's 1 plus 0. Alright, that is multiplicative property of 0. Like how I shorten that up, I bet you do. That's MPOS, we'll say, MPOS. And then the last step, 1 plus 0 is 1. That is the additive identity.